we're going to be talking about Mackenzie Gore and when he should be called up. We're also going to be doing a segment on CJ Abrams probably next series, but Isaac isn't with us today. And we just couldn't not have Isaac on for the CJ Abrams series. That's just too messed up. He's been a huge advocate of bringing him up all year, so can't miss out on that. And also, if you just check out this channel, make sure to subscribe to get that content. But I'll ask you right now, when do you want Mackenzie Gore to be brought up?
I would rather it sooner than later. Being able to have like maybe a 5, maybe 6-man rotation. I'm always going to be an advocate for the 6-man rotation because we have Weathers, because we have Lamet and potentially Gore. These are guys that may have not had arm issues, but Weathers and Gore are young, and being able to limit their innings in any way, shape, or form is going to be massive. And with Lamet too, because he's had a couple injury concerns. Being able to limit those innings will be massive for the Padres and be beneficial in the long run. So I'm all for Gore being called up sooner than later.
So what would that sooner be? Like within the next couple of weeks?
I want to say next couple of weeks. I think I read something saying that Gore, they're going to let Gore pitch in the minor leagues for a little bit to get into a groove. So I want to say 2-3 weeks, but I'm hoping before the end of the month.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's also like we talk about, bringing these guys in to kind of spark up the team. Mackenzie Gore has some nasty stuff. Definitely the control issues have kind of been the biggest issue for why he hasn't been called up. But looking back on him in spring, it seemed like they weren't, like the Padres organization isn't quite ready to bring him up, which is interesting. We talked about it. Like, does that kind of shake the confidence of Gore? We don't know. But it seems like, hey, they don't have this like full faith in him coming out there. So it's a little bit odd. He's only 22, so like we can't get like too upset. He's a very young player. But this is a guy that's been the top prospect in the Padres farm for quite a while now, since Fernando Tatis. And I think that it's gonna be they're gonna bring him up soon. And I think it's gonna be in the next couple of weeks as well. I know a lot of the listeners actually there's kind of a variation of what a lot of our listeners were talking about in a previous episode, where some people think that they shouldn't bring up Gore. They think, hey, there's a reason that they haven't brought him up yet. Let's not do it. And then other people are like, we got to bring him up now. Like it doesn't sound good. It's a bad sign. But I think the whole fan base is kind of all over the place on this one. I personally think that it's better to bring him in and see what he has. If he comes in and he struggles, I think you give him another outing, or whether that be a start or a bullpen or an open or whatever he's used as. I think that you give him 2 opportunities. If he comes out and he struggles, then send him back down. Let him make those adjustments. In my mind, I'm a big football guy. The most similar situation in sports of like bringing up a young arm is having a rookie quarterback and deciding when he's ready. I don't know if that's the cross sport comparison in this one, kind of odd, but I really think that that's like the closest thing to it, where some people are in favor of you get a young rookie quarterback and you bench him. You bench him for the whole year or whatever it is. We saw the Packers do that with Jordan Love. Well, when you have a young starting pitcher and maybe he's not quite ready to go, but he still has this stuff to go out there and potentially dominate, I say you throw him into the fire. If he struggles, then guess what? You send him down and you go, all right, this is how you're going to make those adjustments. And that's kind of the beauty of baseball, is that at any moment you can say, hey, man, the Padres organization can look at Mackenzie Gore and go, hey, you're 22 years old. You went out there, you got rocked a couple times. You do this, you're going to fix those mistakes. This is why you weren't effective in the pros. You go, you make those adjustments, you come back, and you get better each time. And you can send a guy down a couple times. I don't think it's something that should be taken as like shaking their confidence, but it's just experience for him. So I agree that I think that he needs to get out there earlier than later. And I think the next couple weeks is when we should expect him to be up there. And we were talking about this for a while before we came on, but it does seem like the best opportunity would have been last week to bring him up when you didn't have a guy to start. But if they didn't think he was quite ready and they wanted to, hey, let's give him 2 starts in the minors. If he looks good, he's getting called up. I can't hate that. Like I can disagree with it and say, you just should just toss him out there. But maybe there's something that they just want him to make these minor adjustments. Once he makes those, ready to roll with Mackenzie Gore in the pros. And if that's the case, I don't have an issue with that. But But what are your thoughts? Do you think my cross sport comparison is accurate in some ways?
Yeah, I think it's accurate in some ways. And what I just wanted to add is that Mackenzie Gore's biggest comparison to when he came out of the draft and then to now is it's been Clayton Kershaw. And if you look at his first year in the league, he struggled a little bit. I think he had like a 4 something ERA in limited innings, but the next year he came out, he was dominant, and that's the Clayton Kershaw that we know from now on. Like the guy that's been one of the best pitchers in the league for how many years and maybe of all time now. So I think if you bring him up and let him struggle, he will know what he needs to do to make adjustments at the MLB level. And if he can't do that after maybe 5, 6 starts, you send him down to the minors so that he can get more work and build back his confidence. But I think there's no bigger, like, hey, we trust you to be this guy right now. That's a huge confidence boost if I'm Mackenzie Gore. Like, all right, these guys are finally trusting me. I got to show them my stuff, and hopefully it goes well. If not, I know I can make my adjustments at the major league level, and I don't need this minor league level anymore to face these competitions. Because look at what we did with Tatis. Tatis was 19 years old. I know Tatis is a very special talent, but he was 19 years old. We brought him up. He struggled for like a couple weeks, but then after that, he's all the Fernando that we know and love. The same thing with Mike Trout. He got up at 19. He struggled a little bit, got sent down, but the next time he got called up, he's just been the Mike Trout that we all know and love. So I think sooner rather than later, you got to let these guys develop at the major league level and make adjustments, because if you just hold them down too long, you're just inevitably just delaying his progress even further.
And going back to that Kershaw comp, I think that's definitely been like the main comp, especially because it almost looks like Mackenzie Gore just came out there and said, I'm gonna try to replicate what Clayton Kershaw did. I'm gonna make a very similar like high leg kick, similar combination of pitches." And you brought up that he kind of struggled. Well, 2008, that was Kershaw's rookie year. He started 21 games, had a 4.26 ERA. After that year, he's had one season with over a 3 ERA, and it was 3.03. And in that year was 2019. He went 16-5, and I think we'd all agree that he was still pretty dominant that year. So you could throw him out there, and if he's posting a mid fours ERA, you can still win a lot of games with that. Like that's totally fine. But my final question about Mackenzie Gore is, what should his role be? Because we've seen that Dinelson Lamet, Ryan Weathers are potentially back. Don't know how many innings they're going to be able to provide the Padres, especially right now. But what would his role be? Is he an opener? Is he a full-time starter? Are they going to implement a six-man? Is he going to be a bullpen piece? What do you think is the best way to utilize him early on?
I either say 6-man or opener. The one game that he came out of the bullpen in the spring training, he kind of struggled a little bit. It looked like he was very uncomfortable in that situation. So I think if you're going to use him, it's either got to be in a 6-man or an opener, because, he's going to be able to start those games out like he normally does, and keeping him in that sort of tradition, maybe piggybacking Gore and Weathers, because Weathers has come out of the bullpen. It's gone multiple innings in relief. So being able to piggyback in those two and their strengths would probably be the best bet for the Padres.
All right, yeah. So I mean, I think that's gonna pretty much do it for talking about Mackenzie Gore when he's coming up. But final projections, I'm thinking he comes up in after 2 starts in the minor leagues. He's gonna go out there. He's gonna look great in AAA, in my opinion. And they're gonna bring him up, and I think they're gonna have him open a game. That's what I do think. I don't think we'll see him go more than 3 innings in his first start, and probably no more than 4 innings in his second start. But I think after those first 2 games, they're going to see, what their plan is moving forward with him. And I think everyone's going to kind of, I don't know if everyone will be in consensus agreement because, we've seen Jace Tingler do some weird things, but I do think we'll understand the move of what the Padres are trying to do. I was definitely getting a little bit frustrated. Why don't you bring him up? And if they think that he needs to work out a couple of things before they call him up, I understand it. I'm still in favor of throwing him out there and saying, hey, go, let's see what you got, man. You're a top prospect. You're an early first round pick for us, and we just want to see you go out there and dominate. If you don't, we'll figure it out. But I think that's what we're going to kind of see. I think that give him 2 starts in the minors. He looks good. I think the Padres will call him up. And then after that, I think after his first 2 starts in the pros, they're going to decide, all right, do we want to send him down? Did he struggle? Do we want to send him down to make those adjustments, or is he ready to go? Is he ready to be a an important piece of this hopeful World Series contending roster. So, you think I'm right on that? You think that's what the Padres kind of have in mind?
Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. Is maybe at one start, if he's like absolutely flat out dominant, like he goes 7 innings, like 10 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. If he does that in AAA, you're like, yeah, this kid's ready. He needs to be in the major leagues right now. But if he gives up a run or two, they're probably gonna be like, okay, let's give him another start to be sure, this is where his stuff is at. And if he repeats that again, I think they bring him up.
All right, yeah, well, that sounds great. And that's going to do it for today's episode. So make sure to subscribe, do all that. We'll be talking about bringing CJ Abrams up, which I know Isaac will have I know his opinion will be on that. But looking forward to this Giant series. And if you guys are just checking out our channel, make sure to subscribe. Usually there's 3 of us, but I'm Matt. This is Chase right next to me. And we're going to be bringing Padres content all season long. Hopefully the Padres win that Giant series, and hopefully we see Mackenzie Gore soon. So great talking to everybody, and we'll talk to you guys after this next series.